Are you a high school graduate from a single parent family? Are you doing office work now?
She suddenly retorted, her face flushing with anger. This is getting ridiculous. I finally spoke up. Karen is an assistant professor at California State University. My name is Ken Williams. I'm a writer, and my pen name is Max Winterhill. I graduated from the California State University School of Law, passed the bar exam, and became a prosecutor. I married my college sweetheart, Lauren, and soon after, our daughter Karen was born. It seemed like a perfect marriage, but shortly after giving birth, Lauren's health declined. She was diagnosed with breast cancer, which had already metastasized, and nothing could be done. Lauren, worried about our newborn Karen, repeatedly asked me to make sure she would be happy before passing away just 6 months later. I was left with an infant Karen and vowed to do whatever it took to make her happy. However, it was impossible to continue the demanding work of a prosecutor while raising a child. My mom had passed away when I was a student, and my elderly dad lived alone. He offered to take care of Karen, but I couldn't leave a baby in the care of an old man. Luckily, my older sister, Amy, lived nearby, and I could count on her help to some extent. So, I decided to quit my job as a prosecutor and support myself through writing while raising Karen. I had always loved reading as a child and dreamed of becoming a novelist. For a few years, I had little income and lived a tough life. But with financial support from my dad and Amy's help, I managed to raise Karen. Around the time Karen started elementary school, my writing career began to take off, and I started winning awards. Publishers and other industries bombarded me with requests, leaving me with little time to sleep. But I was determined to keep my promise to Lauren. Despite the lack of sleep, I kept writing relentlessly and eventually became a world-famous author. However, I worked under a pen name and refused to attend award ceremonies or public events, keeping my face and real name hidden from the public. Karen grew up well. I had limitations with housework and childcare, but Amy came over almost every day to help with Karen. Thanks to my dad and Amy, I managed to get my work on track. Thanks to Amy, who acted like a mother to Karen, she grew up to be a capable young woman. Since early elementary school, Karen asked Amy to teach her housework, and by 5th grade, she could do everything from cleaning and laundry to cooking, just like a housewife. I wanted Karen to enjoy her childhood, play with friends, and have fun. I told Karen she didn't need to prepare my meals since I would eat out, but she insisted that eating out was unhealthy and that Mom in heaven would be angry. So she prepared my meals every day while attending school. Amy was worried about Karen and often told her she would handle the cooking, but Karen refused, saying she couldn't keep relying on her aunt. I cherished the time I had with Karen during meals, refusing all social engagements, no matter how much I was begged. I only attended necessary work meetings, and as soon as they were over, I would rush home. People in the industry thought I was completely eccentric, but I didn't care about my reputation. I was determined to keep my promise to Lauren and raise Karen to be a respectable adult. I recommended she attend a prestigious private middle school nearby. However, Karen preferred public school and attended local public schools until high school. By the time she was applying for college, I was financially stable and told her she could go anywhere she wanted. But Karen insisted she was only interested in public universities and, to my surprise, got accepted into California State University. Although Karen never said it outright, it was clear to everyone that she chose public schools to avoid burdening me financially. When Karen was about to graduate from university, I asked about her plans. and she told me she would stay at the university. I thought she might have failed and needed to repeat a year, but she had been offered a position as an assistant professor. I didn't fully understand Karen's reasoning, but as long as she was happy, I had no objections. Staying in the same environment seemed like a good idea for Karen. She graduated from university and started working as an assistant professor, dedicating herself to her job. Although she often came home late, she continued to prepare my meals. Wanting to give Karen more freedom, I told her I was tired of home-cooked meals and wanted to explore various restaurants. But Karen refused to stop taking care of my meals. In the end, I gave in and continued eating at home. Life with Karen was everything to me. After the abrupt end of my marriage with Lauren, the happiness I had now felt like compensation. But I always felt guilty towards Lauren for enjoying it so much. Despite living a happy life, I always had a question in my heart. It was about Karen's marriage. As a father and a man of few words, I couldn't bring myself to ask Karen directly if she had a boyfriend or if she planned to get married. I was worried when Karen turned 30. If she couldn't get married because she was too busy taking care of me, I couldn't imagine how angry Lauren would be. I was puzzled and talked it over with my sister Amy. Karen had always talked to her aunt, who was like a mother to her, about everything, so I could learn about Karen through her. Apparently, Karen had been dating a classmate from university and was still seeing him. Amy had told Karen several times, "You should get married soon." However, Karen would always respond, "I can't get married and leave my dad," and wouldn't listen. Amy told me bluntly,
If Karen doesn't get married, it's definitely your fault.
shocked by this revelation. I finally talked to Karen directly. I told her I knew she was seeing someone and asked what she thought about marriage. Karen said, "I enjoy my work, and I'm not necessarily eager to get married," but it was obvious she was lying to spare my feelings. When I kept pressing, it turned out that her boyfriend had wanted to get married for a long time. I went back to Amy for advice, and she told me she had met Karen's boyfriend, Tom, several times and even knew his contact information. Karen's boyfriend was a young man named Tom, so it seemed I was the only one out of the loop. Amy said to me,
He's a great guy, so you should meet and talk to him.
I finally gathered the courage to contact Tom, and though he was quite surprised, he agreed to meet after I explained the situation. Tom told me, "I've always wanted to meet you and introduce myself, but Karen never let me." After graduating from California State University, Tom had joined a prestigious research institute, becoming a senior researcher and a well-known figure in his field. Given Karen's excellent choice, he was indeed a fine person. Tom said he proposed right after graduating from university, but was rejected and had been turned down many times since then. He had a vague understanding that Karen's concern for me was the reason, but she never explicitly said so. Karen had even told him, "You can leave me and marry someone else." But Tom had no intention of leaving her and had started to think it might be fine to stay like this forever. I apologized sincerely to Tom. I admitted that Karen's hesitation to marry was likely due to her worry about me, but having her remain single wasn't ideal. So if he loved her, I wanted them to get married. I also persistently persuaded Karen, "Your aunt blames me for you not getting married, and your mom visits me in my dreams daily to lecture me. Get married, please." After many twists and turns, Karen finally decided to get married. Tom had mentioned that his parents might oppose the marriage due to their rigid values and that they might make us uncomfortable.
Even if it means cutting ties with my parents, I'll marry Karen.
Tom said, The day of the family meeting came. The location was a private room in a high-end hotel restaurant in the city, chosen by Tom's parents. I left everything to the couple, but I heard they initially wanted to have the meeting at a cozy, casual restaurant they frequented during their student days. But Tom's parents strongly opposed it, forcing them to change plans. Good evening. When Karen and I entered the private room, Tom stood up and said,
Thank you for coming. These are my parents and my sister.
the three of them slowly stood up and scrutinized Karen and me.
Hello, I'm Tom's father.
And I'm his mother.
I'm his sister.
Tom's family didn't tell their names and sat back down immediately.
Thank you very much for taking the time to meet us today. My name is Karen, and I've been seeing Tom. Pleased to meet you.
I followed. Nice to meet you. I'm Ken, Karen's father. I had heard about them from Tom in advance, so I generally expected it. But their behavior was terrible.
This whole thing took us by surprise. Tom suddenly told us he wanted us to meet someone. Imagine our shock when he said he was considering marriage. Isn't that right, dear?
Yes, indeed. To be honest, we still don't know much about you. By the way, where is your mother today?
My mother fell ill right after giving birth to me and passed away 6 months later.
Oh, so you were raised by a single parent? Being brought up by a man. You probably didn't learn proper household skills or manners. How unfortunate.
When Tom's mother finished speaking, his sister let out a forced giggle. No, my sister lived nearby and took on the role of a mother, teaching her all the necessary household skills. Tom's sister, who had been listening with a mean look on her face, then asked,
Karen, right? Did you go to college?
Yes,
before Karen could answer, Tom's sister interrupted with another question.
And what do you do for work? You're not unemployed, are you?
well,
Oh, never mind. No need to say. I can imagine. Let's not waste time.
Hearing that, Tom's parents let out disdainful, mocking laughs. Tom's father then asked me.
And what do you do for a living, Ken?
His tone was rude. I replied, I'm a writer.
A writer? Oh, you mean like a hack?
At this, Tom couldn't hold back.
Dad, calling him a hack is rude.
I gently stopped Tom. It's all right, Tom. I am a hack, after all.
I'm sorry.
Tom's face turned red, his voice trembling. Seeing that we didn't respond, they seemed to think we were intimidated, and the three of them escalated their behavior.
And your poor mother dying right after giving birth to Karen. Do you think it was because of some bad karma?
Tom couldn't stay silent.
Mom, how could you say such a thing? That's unforgivable.
Oh, Tom, why are you so angry? I didn't say it was bad karma. I just wondered if it might be.
Tom's sister giggled again. Then, Tom's father, with a blank expression, started speaking.
As you might have heard from Tom, I'm a department head at MB Corporation. My daughter also works there, and though she just turned 30, she's already in a managerial position. By the way, are you familiar with MB Corporation?
I answered, yes, somewhat. Tom's father snorted.
Good. I was worried you might not know such a prominent company. I'm glad you're aware of one of America's leading firms. But you must have had a hard time. Raising a child as a mere writer must have been quite challenging.
Tom's sister added,
Indeed, Karen, I really sympathize with you. Growing up in such a poor environment and still doing menial work at your age, it's a tearjerker.
Karen, who had been listening calmly, finally spoke up.
What do you mean by menial work? I take pride in my job.
Her sudden retort made Tom's sister flush with anger.
Are you a high school graduate from a single parent family? Are you doing office work now?
This was beyond outrageous. I finally spoke up. Karen is an assistant professor at California State University.
What?
Didn't you hear? Karen is an assistant professor at California State University. And by the way, she met Tom there. So, Karen also graduated from California State University. Upon graduation, she received an earnest offer from the university and took the position. Following my lead, Karen said,
Initially, I majored in systems information science, but I was fortunate enough to receive multiple offers and now also teach electronic information science and intelligent machine information science.
The three of them were stunned into silence. Tom said,
This is just embarrassing. Karen is way more accomplished than I am. We're the same age, but Karen makes over $150,000 a year. I can't even compare.
to the three who were holding their breath, Karen quietly said,
I apologize for the oversight, but I forgot to mention something important. My dad's pen name is Max Winterhill. Given your connections to MB Corporation, I assume you've heard of him.
Their eyes widened in shock. With that same expression, Tom's father finally spoke.
Max Winterhill. You mean the world-renowned author and legendary copywriter?
Pleased to meet you. I am Max Winterhill. I handed my business card to Tom's father. Given your position at MB Corporation, you might know that I am well acquainted with your chairman and president. I've had a professional relationship with MB Corporation for over 20 years, responding to their earnest requests without any commercial interest. Tom's father's eyes widened further, his mouth gaping. I continued, just recently, your chairman and president asked me to compile your 100th anniversary company history and create a catchphrase. The responsibility was overwhelming, but after much persuasion, I took on the task. But I have now decided to decline this project. Shall I convey this to you, Peter, given your senior role at MB Corporation? Peter, correct? You didn't introduce yourself earlier. Please relay this to your chairman and president. Peter's voice cracked.
Please wait, Max. I apologize for the rudeness, even if it was out of ignorance. I will firmly reprimand them later, so please forgive their behavior.
Them? No, you were quite rude yourself. While I can laugh off insults directed at me, and it's insignificant for the future of these young people, you insulted my wife and Karen. That is something I cannot forgive. Peter let out a shrill gasp. Tom's mother and sister were in a daze. Ignoring them, I pulled out my phone and made a call. Hello, Mr. Harris. Thank you for the other day. I'm calling to inform you that I have decided to decline your recent offer. The reason? Earlier, I received harsh criticism from your employee, Peter. Yes, he introduced himself as a department head at MB Corporation. Peter called me a mere writer. To avoid causing any trouble, I have decided to withdraw.
Wait a minute, please.
When I told the chairman, who was desperately pleading, the name of the hotel where we were dining, he said he would come immediately and asked us to wait. MB Trading Headquarters is 500 meters from here in a straight line. In less than 20 minutes, the chairman and president arrived, looking frantic. Tom's parents and sister were huddled in the corner, looking terrified. The president asked.
What's this all about, Max?
I candidly recounted the entire series of events and what Peter's family had said. To ensure the facts were clear, I played the recorded conversation from my phone for everyone to hear. The chairman and president listened, their faces turning red with anger. Tom's family, except Tom himself, were pale and stunned. The chairman, who seemed to realize something, looked at Karen in shock.
Dr. Karen, why are you here with Max?
The president also exclaimed in surprise.
Why is Dr. Karen here?
Doctor, what's going on? This is my daughter. Do you know her? I asked the chairman and president. They were visibly shocked. Karen smiled beside me. I was confused.
We're honored to have Dr. Karen, an assistant professor at California State University, advising us on a critical IT project for MB Corporation. We never imagined she was Max's daughter.
Tom's family was dumbfounded. I was also stunned. Karen, you never told me you were working on such projects with MB Corporation. I said, slightly reproachful. My daughter replied, it couldn't be helped. As the chairman mentioned, it's a top secret project critical to MB Corporation's future. If I told you, you might write about it in one of your books, and that would be disastrous. She laughed. I could only manage a wry smile. Don't be ridiculous. But you have a point. Karen then spoke up.
I regret to inform you that I must also withdraw from this project. Peter's daughter, an MB Corporation employee, as you heard earlier, harshly criticized my work, calling it a menial job. Considering MB Corporation's reputation, it would be inappropriate for you to accept support from someone like me. So I will also step down from this project.
Ignoring our attempts to stop them, the chairman and president prostrated themselves, repeatedly apologizing.
Max and Karen, we are truly sorry. We will terminate Peter and his daughter immediately. We can't apologize enough, but please continue to support MB Corporation.
I calmly responded, I understand, and I also wish to continue our relationship with MB Corporation. Karen added,
So do I. In any large organization, you're bound to encounter a few problematic individuals. While these individuals are a minority, please ensure that such misconduct is dealt with strictly for the sake of everyone's honor at MB Corporation.
Peter turned pale and cried out desperately.
Harris, Steve, please listen. There's a deeper reason for this. If I had known from the start that these two were Max and Karen, I would never have said such things.
At that point, the chairman shouted at Peter.
Shut up, you fool. Those very thoughts reveal your true character. Don't you understand that? Enough, you and your family leave now. Further action will follow.
Finally, Tom delivered the finishing blow.
Mom, Dad, and Jessica, I am cutting ties with you today. Your disrespect towards Karen and Ken is absolutely unforgivable.
6 months later, our home was filled with celebratory cheer. Karen and Tom had gotten married 3 months ago, and last week we found out Karen was 3 months pregnant. Tom, I really appreciate it. I was surprised to hear that you plan to take parental leave after the baby is born so Karen can return to work.
Ken, this is my decision as well. I was truly moved by your story of quitting your job as a prosecutor to dedicate yourself to raising young Karen.
Amy added,
But that's wonderful, Tom. You made this decision thinking of Karen. Thank you so much.
I'm truly the happiest I've ever been. Marrying Karen, expecting a baby soon, and having the legendary Max Winterhill as my father-in-law.
Tom was saying such nice things, but Amy had to ruin the moment.
Oh, Tom, you praise Ken so much, but to me, he's just my little brother, not so impressive. When Karen wasn't getting married, he came crying to me, Amy, please do something, with tears in his eyes. It's pathetic for a grown man, don't you think? Maybe I should tell the tabloids that the great Max Winterhill is actually a whiny old man. It'd make for an interesting scandal.
I choked on my beer. Then I protested to my sister. Hey, Amy, please, give me a break. You're supposed to keep things like that secret.
Oh, come on, it's the truth. Fine, if you want me to keep quiet, help me cook now.
I saluted her and said, Yes, ma'am, right away. Everyone burst into laughter.